The only chemical industries company listed on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, Notori Chemical Industries PLC, has just informed the Nigerian Stock Exchange about some changes on its board of directors. This is coming through from the Nigerian Stock Exchange news box as we speak. So the changes to the board of the directors of Notori Chemical Industries PLC, a retirement of Chief Odoloyi Lolomari, a non-executive director, what you call an independent director from the board of Notori Chemicals Industries PLC. Lolomari was a former group managing director of NNPC. Now he's leaving Notori Chemical Industries PLC, where he joined the board in 2007 and served on the board of Notori Chemical Industries for 11 years. There were two resignations also being announced today, formally announced to the market today by Notori Chemical Industries PLC. Geoffrey Dedale is also a non-executive director. He joined the company, the board of Notori Chemicals in February 2011 and served for about 7 years as a non-executive director. He's also resigning from the board of Notori Chemical Industries PLC. And finally, Mr. Bernard Lunge. Bernard Lunge is an independent director, a non-executive director, if you want to put it that way, joined Notori Chemicals in November 2011 and served in the non-executive capacity for 7 years. So the company says thank you to these three gentlemen as they depart Notori Chemicals Industries PLC. That's just bringing you up to speed. Let's get back to Adedayo Bakare live at our studios at the Nigerian Stock Exchange for that lift-off macroeconomics that we're considering for the new year. Adedayo, thank you so much. Let's talk about the MPC and what was your outlook on the new year as far as the first meeting will be taking place in about 3 weeks from now.
Okay, for the first meeting in January, we expect that towards the end of last year, the last meeting in November, you saw that the committee members of the NPC became a bit, dovish. And that was in line with, the general expectation that the momentum in the economy was very weak and more needed to be done. But in January, we would expect that at the meeting in January, you expect that the committee members will maintain, all policy rates. In December, for instance, we saw that the U.S. Fed tightened rates further. That was its fourth tightening for 2018, and you're expecting even more about 3 more in 2019. So these are things the MPC members will be looking at. Also, they'll be looking at the political season, the election spending. Election is in February, so you expect that between now and then you would you will tend to see more activities pay out, and policy members will be watching that as well. They'll be tracking inflation. Inflation is still in double-digit levels. In December, our expectation is that we closed 2018 at around 11.6% in inflation. So members will be watching that as well. So in terms of the guidance in 2019, it's that the policy environment, monetary policy environment will remain generally tight. And that is because of, pressures internally and also external factors that could affect, the stability in the economy. So in terms of lending, for instance, we've seen a situation where the policy committee members continue to encourage, banks to lend more to the real sector of the economy. But what we think will continue to play out also will be CBN's development agenda. We tend to see them intensify, their interventions into various sectors of the economy to actually to lift growth, because we think for us, we believe the monetary policy rate will remain at 14% in the near term until you see something changing materially, like inflation, moderating aggressively, which we do not foresee, or you see, external risks moderate. Currently, that is also very, very elevated. So we believe in January, all policy rates will remain unchanged.
Okay, but if we look a little bit further into the new year, Adedayo, is there any likelihood, is there any signaling, anything to suggest that perhaps after the general elections and the swearing in, if all goes well, then we could have a bit of a what you call easing, interest rate easing by the central bank, whether under the current leadership of Godwin Emefiele or whatever happens after that, do you think this could happen in the second half of the year? And what rate, what level are you looking at here, if there's going to be a haircut?
Okay. For us, we do not expect any haircuts in 2019. Like we've mentioned, the Monetary Policy Committee of the CBN will continue to track, developments in inflation, and we expect that inflation will remain double-digit throughout the year. Also, interest rates, differentials between Nigeria and advanced economies is shrinking. So you expect that committee members will also want to keep that, that gap wide, so as to continue to encourage foreign investment into Nigeria. More foreign investment is crucial to enabling the CBN to continue to monitor, to continue to maintain exchange rate stability. So for that, we do not see, any change in direction. Also, there are some concerns, around, non-cost reflective tariff in, the electricity market. There are concerns on, subsidy also. And we do not know how that would, shape up for the rest of the year. So depending on whoever wins the election, you might see maybe an adjustment in electricity tariff, an adjustment in petrol prices. So if those happen, you expect material changes to inflation. Inflation will pick up and will remain elevated. So these are slightly on the unclear parts of what will happen in the second half of the year. But at the current pace, what we see currently is that external developments and domestic developments are currently not favorable for easing. So we do not expect the Monetary Policy Committee to ease in the first half of the year. In the second half of the year, it depends on whoever wins the election and the kind of policy choices we see on the fiscal side of the economy.
Okay. Adelaide Bakari, thank you very much. Let's leave it there for today. We understand you folks at Afinvest is putting your annual market position reports together. Let's talk about that in the days ahead. Thank you very much. Have a great day and welcome to a brand new market calendar. Let's put